secret weapon he uses to control the witches, Marcel has assembled a small army of vampires. She has made her disinterest quite clear.
One too many times daggered and shoved in a box, I gather. In my desire to reclaim this town, to steal from Marcel that which he holds most dear, I have realized one massive vulnerability, one weakness.
And what is that?
You. Forgive me, my brother. There is no power in love. Makes you weak. Family makes you weak. I'm going to win this war. I have to do it alone.
I never expected the plot to take such a turn. I thought the two had already decided to go all out with clear motives and goals. But Klaus's move was completely unexpected. It was a huge surprise right from the start. Fearing that Elijah's sentimental nature might interfere, Klaus once again chose to seal Elijah away. We've already seen enough of this in the Vampire Diaries, and now in the originals, it's still that same familiar feeling.
Elijah, if not answering your phone is part of your clever plan to get me back to this god-forsaken city, then well done.
Who the hell are you?
You must be the maid.
Not the maid.
You're that werewolf girl my brother Klaus knocked up.
You have your brother's manners.
And his temper, too. Where's Elijah?
He's long gone.
Elijah is not just any vampire, and he doesn't break promises. Klaus! Get out here and tell me what you've done with our brother, you narcissistic, backstabbing wanker!
Enough! I assume the 6 dead vampires were your doing.
Trying to victimize a poor, innocent girl, just trying to find her way to the quarter. Elijah doesn't Welsh on deals. What did you do to him?
Well, go on. Take a look around. I know you don't have many friends, Rebekah. But what some friends do when they get together is they drink. And when they drink, they tell secrets. Oh, and welcome home, little sister.
You, wolf girl. I'm gonna search this house inch by inch. You're helping.
Sure enough, Rebekah sensed something was wrong and went straight home to find Klaus, only to unexpectedly run into Haley. Rebekah knew very well that Klaus was behind all this. She'd seen this kind of trick plenty of times before, to prevent his family from betraying him. Klaus had a habit of locking them in coffins and dragging them around with him, so it's no surprise she wasn't exactly pleasant when she walked in. On the other hand, Haley looked completely confused. She didn't yet understand Klaus's ways. However, as time goes on, Haley will come to experience it firsthand.
Sophie Devereaux. My brother Elijah told me about you. Know who I am?
Yeah.
Then you know we need to talk. Elijah has a dagger in his chest. Do a locate a spell, locate the dagger, locate Elijah.
Can't use magic. Marcel's rules.
Marcel, what do you think I'm going to do to you if you don't give me what I want?
Anything you do to me, you do to Haley.
Who? Oh, right, the mumsy. How did Marcel get so bloody powerful anyway?
Marcel has a way to tell whenever there's magic done in the quarter.
Coven of witches who can't do magic. Here's an idea. Move away.
This cemetery is filled with the remains of our witch ancestors. Without access to them, we're powerless.
He was the one who idiotically believed this baby would be Klaus's redemption. And you were foolish enough to believe that Elijah could convince Klaus to go against Marcel when everyone knows that they have a history. Klaus loved him like a son, and that is why your plan will fail. All you've done is bring back together 2 long-lost souls.
Werewolves, vampires, and witches. These groups keep scheming against each other, yet they're all deeply intertwined, tangled in a web of connections that's hard to break and even harder to make sense of. Sophie went to extreme lengths to achieve the revival of the witches. Elijah, on the other hand, values emotions too much but keeps them buried inside, which always makes things so heartbreaking to watch. This is exactly why, if Klaus wants to achieve something big, he must be ruthless and show no mercy. Of course, if things spiral out of control, he could end up wiping out everyone around him. That's also why Elijah places so much importance on this child, the one they named Hope. Hope is not only a symbol of new beginnings, but also a form of redemption for Klaus.
In the French Quarter, 2014. Klaus Mikaelson sits in a leather chair, his posture rigid, his fingers tapping nervously against the armrest, a habit he'd hidden for centuries. Across from him, Camille O'Connell sets down her notebook, her gaze soft but steady. "You keep calling yourself a monster," she says, quiet but unflinching. "But all I see is a man who's been hurt. A lot." Klaus scoffs, but his hands still. For the first time in a millennium, someone isn't seeing the hybrid, the villain, the ghost of Mikael's making. They're seeing Niklaus. That moment isn't just a conversation. It's a crack in the armor, a first step toward escaping the phantom that's haunted him for centuries. Camille's power wasn't in magic or strength, it was in empathy. She knew trauma. She'd lost her brother to violence, had felt the weight of grief twist into anger, had questioned if she was broken beyond repair. So when Klaus snarled, "You don't know what I've done," she didn't flinch. She said, "I know what it's like to be scared of the dark parts of yourself, but they don't have to define you." In the original Season 2, Klaus admits to her, "No one's ever looked at me and seen anything but a monster." Camille's reply, "Then they weren't looking hard enough." That's the gift she gave him, the chance to be seen. Not as a weapon, not as a legacy, but as a person. Flawed, hurt, and capable of more. She didn't fix him. She didn't erase his past. But she gave him permission to introspect, to ask himself, who do I want to be, instead of who Mikael made me? For Klaus, that was revolutionary. He'd spent centuries running from his pain. Camille made him want to face it. Then came hope. The moment Klaus held his daughter for the first time, the phantom of Mikael flickered. He looked down at her tiny face, her eyes, a mix of his and Haley's, and whispered, "I won't let you fear the things I feared. I won't let you be me." Fatherhood didn't erase his trauma, but it gave him a reason to fight it. For hope, he stopped burning cities. He started negotiating instead of killing. He even let himself be vulnerable. He read her bedtime stories. He cried when she got sick. He told her, "I love you," without flinching. In the original Season 5, he tells Marcel, "Hope is my redemption. If I can be the father she deserves, then maybe I'm not just Mikael's son." That's the transformative power of love. For the first time, Klaus's motivation wasn't survival or control. It was protection. It was protection, not the kind that locked people up, but the kind that set them free. He wanted Hope to grow up knowing she was loved unconditionally. Something he'd never had. He wanted to break the cycle, not just for her, but for himself. And then there were the moments, small, raw, unguarded, when the mask slipped. The time he sat with Camille in a cemetery, staring at Tadia's grave and said, "I still hear his voice sometimes, telling me I'm not enough." The time he cried to Elijah, "I'm scared I'll hurt Hope. That I'll turn into him." The time he held Hope after Haley's death, his body shaking, and whispered, "I don't know how to do this alone." These weren't the moments of the fearsome hybrid. These were the moments of the boy who'd never stopped bleeding from his father's whip. In the original Season 4, Camille asks him why he hides his vulnerability. He says, "Mikael taught me that weakness is a death sentence. So I buried it, deep." But with Camille, with Hope, with Elijah, he started to dig it up. He started to let himself be seen, even when it hurt. Escaping the phantom of Mikael wasn't about forgetting. It was about forgiving himself. It was about realizing that his worth wasn't tied to his father's opinion. It was about choosing to be more than the pain he'd endured. Camille gave him the courage to start that journey. Hope gave him the reason to finish it. And in those vulnerable moments, he gave himself the grace to keep going. In the end, Klaus didn't escape the phantom by being strong. He escaped by being brave. Brave enough to face his past. Brave enough to love. Brave enough to admit that he was more than Mikael's son. That's the lesson of his healing. Trauma doesn't have to be your legacy. You can choose to write your own. And when he sacrificed himself to save Hope, when he said, "I love you always and forever," he wasn't just saying goodbye. He was saying, "I did it. I broke the cycle." The phantom of Mikael was finally gone, and Klaus was free.